Hi everyone, my name's Eric. I'm gonna show you today how I help people get set up to use Git and GitHub on their computers for the first time as our users, our RStudio users. This is just one of several ways. It's the one that works best for me that I find people have the most success with. And again, it's specifically targeted at like R and RStudio users who maybe don't feel super comfortable with the command line. So if that describes you or people that you work with, hopefully you'll find this video useful. We are going to be using the use this package for doing a lot of this setup. The use this package has a bunch of utilities for doing a whole bunch of different stuff, but it includes a lot of great functions for getting set up with Git and GitHub and using Git and GitHub through R. This tutorial assumes you already have Git installed. If you're on a Mac and you want to check, you can go over to the terminal and write git space -- version. And if you get a version number there, congrats, you have it installed. If you're on a Mac and you don't have it installed, it will prompt you to install it when you do this, and you can just accept the prompts and say yes. If you are on a Windows machine and you need to install Git, you need to download an installer for Git for Windows. So search for that on Google or something and go through the installer setup. And if you're on Linux, you probably already have Git installed. And if you don't, I assume you know what you're doing. So we are gonna use this package again. So if you don't have it installed already, you can do install.packages use this. I already have it installed, so I'm just going to load it with library use this. And the first thing we're going to do is run git _ sitrep. And this stands for situation report. So git situation report here. All right. So we get this bulleted list, this checklist of things that we need to do, basically. And this is mimicking I've done some stuff to mimic like a fresh setup. So this is like what your computer would look like if you've never set up Git before. So the first thing we see is that it doesn't know our name or an email, and it tells us how to do that. So configure using this use git config code. So I'm going to just copy this code here and paste it. And I'm going to fill in my name. And for the user email, this should be whatever email you used or plan to use to set up your free GitHub account. Okay, so we're going to run that, and then we can check again to see that it worked with git _ sitrep. So now it knows my name, my email address. The next thing on the checklist is this vaccinated false. So git vaccinate is a function that creates a global git ignore file. And so this is a file that will make it so that all of your projects will not commit certain files to Git. They will not be tracked by Git and therefore won't end up on GitHub. And this is files that could potentially contain sensitive information, passwords or access tokens or things like that. So we do want to go ahead and run that. So we're going to run git _ vaccinate. And so it's created this global git ignore file, which we could view by clicking on this. So these are patterns of files that if they're matched, they won't be tracked by Git. All right. So let's see what's next on the list. So we are now vaccinated. We see the next thing here that's not set is this initial branch name. So if we want to set that, there's a function git default branch configure. Essentially, there's different conventions for what the default Git branch is called. The old convention is that it used to be called master, and the newer convention is that it's called main. So I'm going to set it to main, which is the default here. So if I just hit enter, now we have a default name branch of main. So for any future repositories I create, the default branch will be called main. And I think that's it for the top section, the Git section. So Git referring to that the command line program that's running on your computer. We've got that all set up. The next section is for GitHub. So we need to do some things to configure our computer so that RStudio and the use this package and other things can communicate with GitHub and authenticate. So we see that there's no personal access token. We're going to need to set one of these. Personal access token is kind of like a password, but you can create more than one. You can have them set to expire after certain dates. You can sort of change their access, but we do need to create one of these for things to work. So to create a personal access token, use this create GitHub token. I can actually just click on this and it will run that function for me, which all that function does right now is it opens up this URL. So it opens it up for us in a GitHub page. You may need to log in to get to this point. I'm already logged in, so I see it right away. The only thing we have to edit here is this describe the tokens use case. So this is usually, you'll call it like whatever computer you're going to use this on. So you'd call it, work MacBook or something. I'm going to call mine remember to delete. I have a couple others. It's auto-suggesting because I've done this before. So I'm going to show you this token, right? But before this video gets uploaded, I'm going to delete it because, again, this is like a password. You want to treat it as such. You might want to change the expiration. You don't have to. So the default is that this token will expire after 30 days, which means that you'll have to go through some of these steps again to regenerate it and store a new token every 30 days. That's more secure, but also more annoying. If you want to set it to a longer period or no expiration, that's kind of up to you. I'm going to leave mine at the default for now. And we don't need to change any of these checkboxes. These were set for us already by the use this package. And I'll just click the generate token button. So now we get a token. That's this GHP underscore blah, blah, blah thing. Again, we want to treat this like a password. So if you have a password manager that you use, this might be a good time to add it to that, copy it there. We're not going to be able to see this again after we navigate away from this page. You can always create a new token, delete this one, create a new one if you want, but we won't be able to get back to this exact one again. So I'm going to copy it and I'm going to go over to RStudio. And the next thing to do here is to call gitcreds : gitcreds set. So you should have the gitcreds package installed. I believe when you use this, it will install gitcreds also, but this is from a different package here. But I can just click this and it'll put that code in my R prompt here. Now, common mistake that people make is they paste the token in where the parentheses are. That's not how this function works. You just run it without any arguments and it will prompt you to paste in that token. So now I paste that in, I hit enter, and it's storing those credentials for me. So let's run git sitrep one more time. And we see now that it's discovered that access token. It knows my GitHub username, knows my emails, and we're done with the setup. The one last thing we might want to do is turn this repository that we're working on, or sorry, turn this project that we're working on in RStudio into a Git repository. It tells me here active project is not a Git repo. So we're in a project up there called demo proj. And we might want to make it a Git repository. So we can, I'll just show you here that right now there's no Git tab over here. So that's how we know it's not a Git repository yet. And I can run use_git. This will add a local gitignore file for this project. And it'll also prompt me, say, do you want to make an initial commit? And I'll say yes. And then it'll prompt me if I want to restart RStudio so that Git pane can be there. I'll say to absolutely. And that will restart. And we'll get our Git pane up here now, where we can make commits and push and pull changes. I'm not going to describe how to do that. That can be another video if you're interested. And then the last thing we could do is we could turn this into a GitHub repository. So we can sync this with GitHub with the use this package. So I'll load use this again, and we'll do use_GitHub. This will create a new GitHub repository and synchronize our local one to it so that we can get our work up onto GitHub more easily. So it kind of does all the setup there for you. Now we have this demo proj repository with just these 2 files in it right now up on GitHub. So thanks for watching, and if you have any questions, please do leave a comment and I'll do my best to answer them. And yeah, if you're interested in a sort of a part 2 about how to use RStudio to actually make commits and push and pull from GitHub and things like that without using the command line, I'd be happy to make a video like that. So yeah, again, let me know in the comments, and thanks for watching.